On the next all-new episode of Invincible Fight Girl.
What is going on here?
Silence your crusty mouths! Now, who sent you?
Perhaps you'll feel more talkative with our leader.
We're under attack!
Invincible Fight Girl. Saturday at midnight on Toonami. Next day on Max. On the next episode of Blue Exorcist.
You're lagging, Rooster Boy! Being smart doesn't do you much good in the real world, does it? What you say? You don't know Jack! In the real world, the guy left standing at the end wins! Now that's what I'm talking.
Blue Exorcist. Next Saturday at 1 a.m. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast, Toonami Therapy, on November 21st of 2024. I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
And this is our podcast where we talk about Toonami, anime, other things, and you know, earlier today I thought of a really interesting or funny thing to talk about at the start of this podcast, but then I completely forgot what it was, so the listener will have to imagine it. Okay. Well, with that disappointment done, I guess we'll just move straight into the Toonami series at the start as usual. So, we got Invincible Fight Girl episode 4. Andy fights against like one of the I cannot remember their names. The brother of the big guy with the glasses, you know, because to prove the stuff. Anyway, we go through a bunch of that in the episode. She ends up actually losing, but don't worry, the other guy Mikey, that was Ed. He's not fighting, but he decides he does the usual thing in shonen. He has a flashback and he gets a power-up. That power-up is really just giving her advice, which helps her, but she still loses, but yeah. But then he's like, I'm gonna go with my dreams and help you out. And then meanwhile, she decides, okay, well, let's go and try to get that person to teach me stuff, you know, like before. And that was our episode, basically.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I'm not very interested in it, but I don't think it's terrible either. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's just kind of there. I don't really dislike it, and I don't really like... I mean, there's some funny bits, but for the most part, I just kind of feel it's there. It really just does feel like a kid's show that they just, like, you know, decided to put on the adults, that they decided to insert to make slightly more adult and then just put it on the Adult Swim is what's weird about it. I kind of feel like that. And I don't even want to say, oh, kids show, because, you know, there's some kids shows I like, but this one is just, it kind of feels like more like just a regular kids show. So I don't know. Yeah, that's all I got. Sorry, I don't have too much to comment on. Honestly, listeners, you should be glad we're covering this at all. This is not even an anime series. You should be grateful that we deign to even discuss this non-anime series. By the way, next year we're planning to start talking about Star Trek The Next Generation again. So, yeah. Okay, that joke didn't come out as well as I thought it would. Moving on, we'll try to cover up my usual awkwardness by just moving over to Mashle, episode 2. So, Mashle's trying to get into the Magic Academy, so they go to tests, And, well, he doesn't have any magic, but he's able to just beat everything with brute strength, really. And including, of course, when they have to go through the maze, he ultimately just punches his way through the walls to get to the end. He also meets this girl named Lemon, who is actually sabotaging him because someone else was making her, but then she has a change of heart and helps him. So, yeah, I guess she's going to be the female lead. Then we also... Yep, then basically... so he makes it in, has this kind of sort of, I don't know what to call it. It's not more than a conversation, but it's not really a face-off or whatever, with the guy in charge of the school. And then he meets his roommate, who basically mentions, yeah, if you want to become the divine visionary like you want to, you have to do all these things on the exams and all this other stuff that he doesn't seem prepared to do at all. And, Yep, that was our episode. When I say it like that, it sounds kind of boring, but you need to remember, a lot of this was just focused on the comedy.
I had a question to ask you about it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, what genre is this show? Like, is it shonen or?
Well, Shonen's Shonen, strictly speaking, is a demographic rather than a genre. The genre, when people say shonen, is really shonen battle. Now, are you asking me about whether it's shonen demographic, or are you asking me if it's shonen battle?
Either or.
Okay, so shonen, just for listeners who might not know, the demographics in Japanese manga are shonen, seinen, shoujo, and josei. Shonen is a famous one. It's aimed for younger male audience. Seinen is aimed for older male audiences. Shoujo is aimed for younger female audiences, and josei is aimed for older female audiences. I'm sure everyone knows so many shonen examples. Examples of seinen are like Kaguya-Sama seinen. It runs seinen magazine, for example. Sailor Moon is maybe the definitive shoujo series. There's not actually that much josei stuff that gets made into anime, but Chihaya Furu was. Really, you need to understand, these are just demographics. You can have stuff in a shonen series that would fit well in a seinen, in a shonen magazine that could fit well in a seinen magazine. Like Death Note is shonen, that could easily be a seinen series. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, midway through its run, changed from a shonen magazine to a seinen magazine. So that's more arbitrary. In terms of genre, though, when people say shonen, they usually mean the battle genre. Your Naruto, your One Piece. This, I would say, is it's that, but also with a heavy comedy focus. It's kind of like One Punch Man in that it's an action show, but there's also a bunch of jokes in it. Ironically, One Punch Man is a seinen series. So yeah, I would call it an action comedy, basically.
Okay.
That was a very roundabout way to answer your question. I'm sorry. But adds to the episode, yeah, I thought a bunch of the jokes were good. I think my favorite one is when when Lemon meets the Sphinx and asks the riddle, what walks on 2 legs in the morning, 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs at night. In the off chance you don't know, the answer is supposed to be a human, because they crawl in the morning of their life, they walk on 2 legs during the middle of their life, and when they're old, they go around with a cane, which is 3. Although I think nowadays people use like wheelchairs and stuff, or walkers. So technically, if someone goes around with a walker, doesn't that mean they're on 6 legs?
Yeah, possibly.
Anyway, so we get that, and she doesn't know, and Mash just ends up bursting into it, beating it up, and just says, "There's no such thing." So yeah, I thought this was a fun episode.
Yeah, don't have much to add.
Okay. All right. Fine. We got Blue Exorcist episode 3. So our main character, his name it's Rin, right? Rin, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just tripped me off because I'm thinking, wait, is that a girl's name or a guy's name? Maybe it's both. Like
Yeah,
Hinata.
it is both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he also is going to not a magic school, but the Exorcist school. Anyway, turns out, so he's going there. Turns out his brother is actually teaching there, and it is kind of weird that his brother isn't just like tries to act like everything is totally normal. He doesn't, say, hey, yeah, I'm working here and try to give some explanation. He just goes on into the class and is trying to, teach everyone like everything's normal. It's really weird he does that. Anyway, they basically, Rin ends up pulling his brother out to basically, ask him, hey, what the heck's going on? And they basically get into an argument, but they managed to, and kind of a fight, but then they all managed to make up and everything is all good. And this is the point where I actually thought the first episode ended originally. I've been making that reference several times. So my memory of this, which just goes to show how bad my memory of this series is. But yeah, we got that, and I guess now we'll move into them actually being at the school. And, well, I don't actually remember that much past this point, sorry. But I at least remember that. And it was an okay episode.
Yeah, it was okay, I would say. Not great. I think once it introduces more characters, it gets a little better. I actually liked the show the first time I watched it, which is bad news because anytime I like something the first time I see it, I end up not liking it that much the second time around. So that's that's not a good sign. I wonder though if there's some series that I hated the first time and then rewatched them and liked them more. I don't know.
Well,
but
are there any series that you hated that you actually went back and watched again?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of.
Usually I don't. Usually I don't like try to rewatch stuff I hated.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm watching Sailor Moon, which I absolutely hated when I was a kid, but it was kind of an irrational level of hate. The kind of hate that like dumb younger people have towards TV series. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's okay right now. We'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, the big issue I had, one problem with this is that we kind of had, hey, they're going to the school, and we had this right after Mashle, which had them, hey, we're going into the school, and was more entertaining, I think.
Yeah.
All right, and so finally, of the regular Toonami series, we have One Piece episode 694. So, in this episode, yeah, there's still things with some of the characters fighting and things. The big part, I guess, is that Sugar, remember the person who Usopp basically beat through dumb luck? Well, she's managed to revive, and everyone's like, oh no, if she's around, she can start affecting people and turning them into toys and making everyone forget that they ever existed. And I'm just kind of thinking, I get why you're worried about this, but how it's weird because I've never seen any character think to themselves, at least that I remember, say, hey, how do we know there aren't already people that we've forgotten?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, although there is a somewhat bit of an amusing thing in that Sugar is now like completely terrified of any thing that resembles a long nose because of Usopp. So like one guy has a long nose and she's like terrified of him.
Yeah. I
Okay.
thought this episode was kind of humorous.
Mm-hmm.
It worked a little better than the usual episodes. I mean, I'm sure there was padding, but uh, in fact, I pointed out the padding as it was happening. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. I'll give it that.
Actually, hang on. I need to check something. It's been a while since we've actually commented on this. I want to see, okay, how much did this episode actually adapt from the manga? Let me just take a quick look here. This one has, hang on, I'm just opening up. This one adapted chapters 6 to 17 of chapter 756 and pages 6 to 7 of chapter 758. So combine those and you get the majority of a chapter, basically. So, yeah. That's one piece for you. So, yeah, we're still down to not even getting full chapters out of these episodes.
But it gets worse, right?
That is what I've heard.
Okay, that's going to be interesting.
It would have to get worse because especially later on in the series, because the author of One Piece, Oda, he's been over the last several years being like taking more breaks than before. Not like big breaks. Usually it's just like, oh, he like took a week off or something. But it's happening more frequently. So there's fewer chapters being produced each year, and sometimes there's shorter chapters too. So the anime has to just pad things out even more to avoid catching up. I think that again is why they just finally put the anime on hiatus. I think a few weeks ago, or at least announced they were going to. I don't know if it is yet, and said, yeah, we're just going to take a break for a few months because I assume they just can't keep going. For the anime has for a long time just refused to do filler arcs anymore. So not that I even think where the anime is right now there's a good place to put them, but as a result of that, all they can do is pad, and even they can't pad that much probably. Okay, yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Sailor Moon episodes 42 to 40. Oh, wait, I think these... Oh, are we actually that high? Wow, or am I doing this? Let me just... Oh, wow, these are right. Episodes 42 and 43.
Yeah, for some reason I can only remember one of the two episodes. I remember the episode where it's like every betrayal fan fiction that everyone's ever written on Sailor Moon, which is a famous thing amongst the Sailor Moon community that people love to write fan fiction where everyone betrays Usagi and stuff like that happens. And that's kind of like what happened in this episode. Everyone's super critical of Usagi, and then they go for a fight and she's able to win, and then everyone's able to get along again, and everyone's happy. And the other episode, I cannot remember it. So, yeah.
The Dark Kingdom possesses someone who knew Sailor Venus's identity and was trying to get her introduce him to the rest of the Sailor Scouts. Come to think of it, if they know Sailor Venus's identity, why isn't that enough to figure out the rest? I mean, if you know her secret identity, you can I mean, I guess you could always transform, but that would be useful. And then you could just go and pay attention and go, okay, we know who she is. What is there 4 other groups of 4 other girls she's frequently hanging out with?
Mm-hmm.
But apparently they don't do that. But yeah, that you got it in there. There's that stuff. Hey, the plot's moving along, I guess. Kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah. Okay. So, yep. I will say, oh, right, in the first episode, there was, I think it was the first episode, there was a funny bit where Usagi, like, eats something wrong, and she's just, like, practically choking while she's trying to get water, and the cats are just talking to each other nonchalantly and completely ignoring her. That was kind of funny. Okay. All right. Then we've got Naruto episode 37. And in this episode, they our main characters, they go into the tower and they open up the scrolls. And Iruka pops up and says, "Hey, congratulations, you passed the exam." And then they talk for a bunch. That's honestly most of the episode, just them talking to Iruka about things. Then they move on and they say, okay, well, and by the way, they really want you to know, wow, an unusually high number of people made it this far in the exam. Because they say that so many times. Anyway, they decide that they need to still cut the numbers down. So the next stage is going to be like a bunch of, what do you know, one-on-one fights. Or... They did say that, right? I can't remember if they said that yet, or if they haven't technically mentioned that yet. Actually, I don't think they actually specify the next round is going to be one-on-one elimination fight. So I'm sorry for giving you the spoiler that is shown in Battle Series is going to have some one-on-one fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of that was just the Hokage talking about the purpose of the Chunin exams and stuff. So really, this episode was mostly just a bunch of people talking. So yeah, was kind of a little boring, but we are getting the fights next. So I seem to remember those were kind of interesting, but we'll see. Maybe like a bunch of other things in the series, I'll experience what you've talked about, where we're rewatching and I'm thinking, wow, yeah, this was definitely way slower than I remember it.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything you wanted to add?
No, I don't really have anything on that.
Okay. Dragon Ball Z Kai, episode 32. So, yeah. So basically, after Goku's managed to beat Recoome and the purple guy, the remaining one, Jace, whose name I can mostly remember just because I don't know if it's like spelled the same, but his name sounds just like this character from Magic the Gathering, decides to leave and try to get Ginyu to help him. So Ginyu goes and he fights Goku, and Ginyu does show himself to actually be kind of an I do like the fact he is shown to kind of, despite some goofy parts of him, he's like able to immediately figure out, yeah, he's just able to like raise his power level super high super quick and then revert it. So they then they just fight a bunch with each other, and yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah. How far until we get to the surprise Goku is Ginyu and Ginyu is Goku?
That's in 2 episodes.
Oh, right. Finally getting there. I look forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, and that comes to the end of the Toonami series we cover. So, yeah, let's talk about the other stuff. Let's see. Okay, right. So we finished with Spice and Wolf, so we'll be starting out with Yu Yu Hakusho here. We got Yu Yu Hakusho episodes 20 and 21. So, Yusuke is fighting, I can't even remember what his name was. Was it Suzaku? I feel like something like that. The last,
I don't know.
The last guy of the Saint beasts, and is still fighting him. Yusuke seems to be having trouble, but don't worry, he has a flashback and screams his way into a power-up.
Yep.
And is able to deal a bunch of damage, but he still hasn't beaten Suzaku or whatever his name is. Okay, I need to actually double check on this because I'm just going to feel really dumb if I've been saying this wrong. Let's see, Forest Saint. Oh wow, I actually got it right. It was Suzaku. Okay, so we got right. So Yusuke's doing real. So unfortunately, Suzaku's able to heal himself, and he says, "Yeah, because I could split myself into multiple ones," which I'd say this was a ripoff of Naruto, except Naruto came afterwards, so maybe Naruto just ripped this off. And he says, you have to defeat them all at once. So Yusuke, well, he doesn't really scream his way into a power-up so much as he sort of like grunts his way into one this time. But he does. He's able to get his power-up by using his life energy and is able to beat him. But then Kuwabara is able to transfer some of his own to Yusuke and to help him recover. So everything's solved. Throughout the whole thing, there's also a bunch of stuff with Botan and Keiko trying to avoid the zombies, but everything got solved in time and it's all good. Yusuke collapses and then manages to wake up several days later.
Yeah. I thought they were pretty entertaining episodes, even though it was the typical scream your way to a power-up thing, which is so famous. But I thought the fight was rather amusing, and the things that the bad guys said were pretty funny. So yeah, I enjoyed these episodes.
Yeah, they were fun. I still think of like the fights in this arc, I think this might have still been my least favorite, but I still liked it. What I find weird is that Suzaku had that like sort of like bird with him who kind of like talked with him, and I was like, okay, they had a kind of slightly interesting dynamic, but the bird never ends up actually doing anything plot relevant, so why was she actually there, really?
Yeah, I didn't get the whole bird thing either.
Yeah, I don't think she ever shows up again, so it just seemed a little weird that they introduced that and didn't really do much with it. So yeah, but anyway, that's the end of the Saint Beast arc. On the whole, it was pretty decent. The series is a lot better, I think, when Hiei and Kurama are around. Okay. Alrighty then, and let's see. One thing I wanted to mention. I had to watch part of this episode. Normally I watch it dubbed, but when I was trying to watch it, I was in this place where I couldn't actually have the like audio on, and for some reason in the second episode, the captions for the English are off. Like they show I can't remember if they showed up like before they should or after they should, but they are not synced right. So I switched it over to the Japanese. He sound totally different in Japanese. The other characters are all like, they sound reasonably close, but Hiei is like, wow, that sounds very different. Okay. So after that, we move on to Oshi no Ko episode 21.
Okay, so Aqua gets the DNA test and tells that guy about it, and he's like, okay, yeah, my father died a long time ago, and that's it. Aqua gives up, and everything is resolved. So now we have nothing really left in the snow except for Ruby to do her idol group, and that's pretty much all that happened. I I obviously don't think everything is all resolved the way it was made out to be in this episode, but that's kind of the way they made it seem. So yeah, for now we don't really have anything pressing to the show right now. It's just Ruby doing her whole idol group, and that's it.
Yeah, once we got through that, a whole lot of this was them working on the idol group of stuff. You know, them trying to brainstorm ways to get more popular and such.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it does make you wonder, like you said, oh, is this going to be the end, or of like the revenge quest, or is this just a fake out? So I mean, I'll be honest, the revenge quest never really interested me that much anyway. So if this is the end, I'm going to be like, yeah, okay, it's kind of an anticlimactic way, but you know, that's actually an interesting choice. I kind of like it. Kind of felt like the series wasn't really about the stuff. Like maybe if you're going to do a revenge story, you got to kind of like make it more of the focus point. You know, like they did in Backstabbed, you know, Backwater Dungeon. My trusted companions tried to kill me, but thanks to the gift of an unlimited gacha, I got level 9,999 friends, and I'm out for revenge on my former party members in the world. That's its full title, and by the way, and I bring it up because they announced that's going to get. They announced earlier this week it's getting an anime.
What?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, that series is getting an anime. I only took notice of it because of its ridiculously long name, and I happened to see, and people said, "Oh yeah, it got an anime announced."
What's the name of the anime gonna be? Like, are they gonna keep that whole name, or are they gonna shorten it?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, because sometimes they just a lot of times they do end up shortening things for you know, like I've mentioned it, like Shangri-La Frontier. That its full title in Japanese was like Shangri-La Frontier. What was it? Crappy Game Hunter meets God tier game or something. A bunch of times they drop them off, but I don't know. They give the full title in like the light novel and the mangas that have been published in English of that series. So I think they need to keep it because honestly, it's bizarre. Even for light novel series, that's such a bizarrely long name. It would probably get people to check it out. That's why I was like, what is going on with this name? I need to look into this series.
That'll be our replacement for.
Well,
our next replacement will be that show.
Honestly,
and our review of it half of our review of it will just be saying the title of the show.
Yeah. It's honestly, I actually did read a little of the manga. It's not that great, but yeah, there's that. Or alternatively, if you want a revenge story that has a much shorter name, you could read Kagurabachi. Okay. Which yes, Kagurabachi, that series that achieved all those memes when it came out, and I see all these people saying, "No, it's not just memes. This is actually a decent series. Read Kagurabachi." It wasn't really my thing, but you know, I'm glad that people like it. Anyway, wow, I drifted off tangent. I think I just wanted to say the name of that series because it's so bizarre. Okay.
So this Kagurabachi, is that related to Bocce the Rock?
No, that's I thought that was Bocce the Rock.
Bocce the Rock, yeah, that's it.
Bocce
the Rock.
No relation.
Okay.
So, yeah, Kagurabachi. It's this relatively new manga. I think it's been running about a year. It's about this guy who's trying to get revenge for his father's murder, and he's got this like magic sword, and he fights other people with magic swords. It got a lot of attention, especially in English early on, because okay, well, we'll get back to Oshi no Ko eventually. But
yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
So before the series actually came out, when all we really had to go was like one, like sort of promo image of it. Some people, so do you remember Morbius, the movie, and the memes about it?
No, I don't.
Okay, so there's this film called Morbius, the Living Vampire, and it was received pretty poorly and was a box office flop. And for some reason, I don't. Some people thought it would be the funniest thing in the world to basically post about how it was the most amazing movie ever and how it got great reviews and made like $1 billion at the box office and made up things like saying the main character says it's Morbin time and things. and yeah. Which apparently actually got the studio to try to release it back into theaters, but then no one watched it because it was all memes. Anyway, some people thought, hey, let's do that with this new series, Kaguya-Sama. Again, before it came out. So some people kind of tried to meme it up by saying, oh, it's the greatest series. It sold a Kaguya billion copies and all this stuff. And it got a bunch of attention. And then a lot of people ended up and then a good number of people actually ended up liking it. So, of course, they decided to get in on the memes, but making it being a little more genuine with it. And it ended up on the Manga Plus rankings. It ended up temporarily reaching number 2 of like most read series. I think only Jujutsu Kaisen was above it, but for a while it eventually kind of dropped down, but it's still at a pretty. Where is it right now? It's in 8th place between Spy Family and Hunter x Hunter. So it's still pretty popular in the English world, and actually, it seems it's been successful in Japan also, even without the memes.
Yeah, between the two X's, Hunter x Hunter and Spy Family.
Yeah.
So I highly doubt this is the end of the revenge tour, but especially given the fact that I know that the ending, which I'm not sure if it's the ending of the anime or just the ending of the manga, is so bad that people literally lit their manga on fire over it. So I don't know if that comes up in the anime or not, but I just have this sneaking suspicion that the revenge tour isn't over yet.
Yeah, but if it is, I personally will be kind of okay with it. Honestly, I kind of just liked the stuff with the girls, just saying all this funny, just having those conversations about things like, hey, yeah, you should if you for your YouTube channel videotape your room, you can write off the stuff in it as a business expense on your taxes. So yeah, that was just kind of fun. I actually kind of liked that stuff.
I did too. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Especially Kana. I love her character.
Although one thing that I am a little confused about is because it establishes that because I think we knew this before, but I forgot about it. Ruby does not know that Aqua is the doctor that treated her before they both died. And I'm like thinking, why has Aqua not told her that?
Yeah. Yeah, that is confusing.
Okay. So yeah, I guess we've gotten all of that, and yeah, I don't think I have too much else to say about it. We already talked a bunch, most of it about other series, but maybe Aqua will end up getting a magic sword or level 9,999 gotcha friends. Okay. Moving on. ReZero episode 54. Okay. So, Garfield and Mimi end up confronting two of like the witch cultists, but she ends up to fight them. She ends up getting injured though, protecting him, and though he is able to get away with her to bring her back, but of course her wound got cursed, so it's not healing right. So he feels bad and blames himself for that. Let's see, what's his name? I don't know. Reinhardt's father decides that in all this chaos, now would be a good time for me to just grab Felt and take him hostage to make like Reinhardt not leave the city. Meanwhile, everyone else is trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do with all this crazy stuff that's happening with all these guys? So they basically decide, okay, we have to go over to fight the Capella. That was her name. The one who was sending out the stuff off the radio, basically. Anyway, Capella apparently is, or at least can turn into a dragon, and they end up fighting the dragon along with some of those other like cultist guys. And yeah. Oh, also the gluttony guy shows up also to fight them. Yeah, that was our main episode, and we also get a post credit sequence thing with Emilia. And yep, that covers the episode, the big stuff, I think. I thought I thought it was a pretty solid episode, personally. I did like I especially liked the part where Subaru just almost breaks the fourth wall in telling Capella like how, like, I can't remember exactly what she says, but she basically talks in a way about how she's being an annoying villain and isn't like fitting the right conventions. Now, the whole point of that was just to stall her, which works, but I still thought it was really funny that that's just what he does to do it.
Yeah, he did a bunch of that in the first season whenever he would talk about, oh, this is the part in the video game where this happens and stuff. So yeah, he tends to do that, and it kind of works. I don't like Garfield at all, so that kind of brings down this episode. Yeah, and then Cruz, whatever her name is, I don't know how to pronounce it. She's turned into just a damsel in distress and pretty much totally weak, totally useless. And Subaru has to carry her around, which is like, okay, you spent all that time building up her character as really strong in that White Whale arc, and now you've just thrown that all away. And that kind of angers me, because she was one of the better characters on the show, and also there's some weird stuff going on with that guy named Al, who is the servant for Priscilla. Yeah. That was a little weird. I couldn't figure out what was going on there. If he's if somehow he's a bad guy or what. I couldn't figure it out. So I will give it that. That was a good way of at least building a little bit of suspense there. But yeah, whenever episode features Garfield crying for half the episode, then it's not one that I usually enjoy.
What I found a little interesting about the way the anime played that bit was, and I mean, I guess you can kind of see it in the anime, but it's not stated as it was as explicitly as in the source material, which was the reason he blames himself as much as he does, is because the plan was for both of them, as Mimi suggested, to just hit the enemy quickly, then run off. But then he gets like too into it and keeps fighting, and then she when he was supposed to just run off right away, and that results in her taking the hit for him, which is why he feels especially like guilty about it, which the anime doesn't really say. I mean, you can still interpret the scene that way, but it doesn't make any note of that. So which I don't know, just something to just a small difference to note. Let's see. Oh, we also do again have the bit where the bells just start ringing and they and the bad guys decide, yeah, this is something I should have mentioned. Sorry, I forgot. They just got, well, see you later, and just leave to, I don't know, I guess play bingo like the guys in Resident Evil 4. So, and I do appreciate the fact that the archbishops, they're all completely insane, but they're completely insane in completely different ways, which I do really like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else I had to say? No, not too much. I liked it on the whole. I didn't really think they made I wouldn't say they made Crochet so much useless. I mean, she still was like decent in the fight, although not super much. I can't remember if she does know much else here. One thing about Al though, what's weird is that the anime just plain skipped over something that was important that was mentioned about him when we first met him back in season 1. That was in the source material. And do you want me to tell you? It's not in the anime, but this was straight up said in the source material, and it's even said in this arc in the source material. So it's kind of weird that the anime skipped over it.
What's that?
Oh yeah, he's actually also from Earth. He got isekai'd at some point. We don't know the specifics, I don't think. But yeah, he, like Subaru, is from Earth. That was mentioned. And yet the anime just skipped over that mention completely. So, which is weird.
Wait, who is?
Al.
Oh, yeah, I did know that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I knew that, but I knew it.
Okay.
That's... But yeah, I'm surprised they didn't mention that at all. So
yeah,
he keeps on calling him brother.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's something behind that.
Yeah, he calls him. Yeah, in the light novel, I didn't read all the light novels of this arc, though I did read the web novel back because way back after season 2 ended. I gotta know what happened. Let me read this. I know he called him bro in that, so probably say whatever. Probably like, what's the Japanese word for that? I think ani. I think that's probably what it was. So yeah, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. I liked the action. There's some fun stuff here. Yeah, series has good action. Oh yeah, and they even had a dragon, and it's not like in so many other series, the dragon is always just like this CGI abomination. Here, it's not. It's not like this big, badly like thing, blatantly CGI thing. So thank you, ReZero, like animators for that, and for the rest of it being animated well. Also, yeah, really liked it. Mm-hmm. Although I kind of like Garfield, so maybe that's part of it. Mm-hmm. He's far from my favorite character, but I kind of like the guy. I mean, I guess you could say in that one timeline he kills Subaru and Ram, but on the other hand, I mean, Ram killed Subaru in one of the timelines, so yeah, you shouldn't get too angry about someone killing you in an alternate timeline, I guess. Mm-hmm. All right, so finally, we'll move on to what we decided to get back to. Finally, Kaguya-Sama, The First Kiss Never Ends. Wait, was that the exact? The First Kiss That Never Ends. Sorry. That was originally, it was released as a movie, but really it's just 4 episodes of the series combined, so they just split it up into 4 episodes. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing. So if we just count these as regular episodes of the series, this is episode 38. Okay, so basically, if at the end of the previous season, when Kaguya was, I think, what was she? She wasn't drunk, but there was something that made her get out of it. Was she like really tired or something? Whatever it was, she ends up kissing Shirogane with tongue, as they keep mentioning in this episode. and which of course is regarded as something really serious, except she's still like completely out of it in the first sequence, which is just this goofy bit about her acting really confused about everything. Then there's another part where where assistant Hayasaka, I think that's her name, is trying to tell him, no, that's actually a really big deal that you kissed like that, even if it was semi-accidental. And then the last bit was, man, I watched this. What was the last bit there? I can't remember. What was the third sequence? I'm trying to look it up to remind myself.
Do you mean after the courtroom thing?
Oh, the courtroom thing. That was what I was talking about. Right.
Yeah.
I literally was remembering that, thinking of that just before we talked about it, and then I got a blank. Okay. So in this episode, what happens is that in this one, we have that weird stuff where the different Kaguyas are in the courtroom and are just arguing with each other. And then I guess one of them apparently becomes the dominant personality or something. That was a little weird, but it seemed like that's what happened with that.
Yeah. So pretty funny episodes, I'd have to say. The new theme song isn't too bad either. It's not nearly as catchy as the original one, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. My only problem is I forget a lot that went on with the minor characters. So, like, I forget who's with who and all that. So, that's where I was a little confused. But aside from that, I thought there was pretty good episodes.
Yeah, it's been so long since the previous season. I mean, this came out, it was only, I think, about, like, I don't know, 10 months after the previous season, but since we totally forgot about this and are only watching it now, it's even longer. So, of course, we've kind of forgotten a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's been more than 2 years, unfortunately. So there's this part where Ino, she's putting that, like, sort of heart pendant or whatever into, like, the lost and found or whatever, and I'm thinking, okay, what was that about? I know it was important in some way in the previous season, but I cannot remember what in the world it was about. So yeah, there were some pretty funny jokes. It's a little weird that this not just in terms of characters sort of talking about sexual stuff, but even like, because Kaguya-Sama up until this point has basically never had any fan service outside of, I think, some OVA, and technically it's not involving the characters, but yeah, you do totally see a pretty fan service thing on the cover of this magazine they're looking at, the one they call Mid Jump, which is obviously just a stand-in for Weekly Young Jump, the series Kaguya-Sama runs in. And then you like have stuff like, you know, when Ishigami like says, "Wow, did you know that you can have sex scenes in this magazine as long as they're not more than 5 pages?" or whatever he said. So that was a little weird that he just upped that so much. But yeah, there's some funny stuff here, and yeah, interesting to see where it goes. It's nice to have the series. It's nice to have the series back. And although it does always bug me that they have the dub and it does not translate the on-screen text. And there's always those little bits at like, you know, where it just shows like the characters and there's like this sort of like handwritten text next to them. It's like some sort of final joke or whatever, except it doesn't translate them in the dub. Okay. So yeah, overall solid episode. Okay.
Yeah, pretty good, I thought.
All right, shall we move into the rankings?
Yep, we're going through the rankings. My third place this week is Yu Yu Hakusho. Second place is Kaguya-Sama. And first place is Oshi no Ko.
Well, for me, let me just think about this briefly. Yeah, okay. For me, third place, Oshi no Ko. Second place, Kaguya-Sama. First place, ReZero.
Mm-hmm. So Yu
And
Yu Hakusho didn't make it on there?
not compare. I mean, it was still decent. It just wasn't able to get
Right.
onto the top three. For me.
Yeah, that's fine.
This one. There is honestly some competition. Like I liked Mashle also. That was pretty decent. That could have been there, but yeah, that's the way it ended up going.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, hopefully Mashle will be a little more interesting next week. I'm not considering Blue Exorcist because I saw it before, so it's ineligible, but there's no way it would have made it anyway. So yeah, we'll see how Hassel goes, and maybe he'll improve some.
Hmm. Okay. There anything else to be discussed?
Well, I finished the second season of the new Bleach anime, so I'm almost caught up to where everyone else is because I'll be starting the third season soon. Basically, there were some really good fights, and then we got into this whole Squad Zero thing, and I completely lost interest because these Squad Zero people literally got introduced yesterday, and all of a sudden I'm supposed to be cheering them on against Uryu and the Quincy's, and I'm like, I kind of want Uryu and the Quincy's to win because I don't know any of these people. Why are they the heroes of the show now? So yeah, I really hate this Squad Zero crap. Um, there was a fantastic battle though between Kenpachi Zaraki and Gremmy, who could just imagine things, and the way that fight went down was just spectacular. That was probably my favorite battle in at least a very long time in Bleach, at least probably since the Soul Society arc. That was a fantastic battle and proof that there's nothing wrong with one-on-one battles. As long as you do them right, they can be good. They can be good. You don't have to uh, stay away from them. But yeah, that was my favorite battle, and the Squad Zero stuff is my least favorite stuff. So we'll find out. Hopefully, Squad Zero gets wiped out or something, but that doesn't look very probable. So yeah, season 3 coming up.
When I can't comment on the anime version of it, so maybe they changed some stuff. But when I read the Gremmy fight in that manga, I actually thought it was really stupid because Gremmy kind of came across to me as an idiot. Because I'm like, you can imagine anything. You just imagine Kenpachi dead, fight over, and you can do that because he was able to like turn Yoruichi, not Yoruichi. What's her name? I can't. Another person I'm blanking on. The little girl. Yachiru. He's able to like incapacitate her by imagining her bones to be cookies. So why can't he just do that to Kenpachi? Just even if it. I think at one point it mentioned that he had to be concentrating, so maybe that's just temporary. So you can't just permanently kill him that way, but just imagine him, okay, he can't do anything, walk over, kill. It would now maybe the anime played it a bit better though. I can't I have
anime. Yeah, basically that he, in his mind, Kenpachi was a monster, and he was like that. He believed that so much that he was unable to defeat him because he had that as his belief,
Okay.
So, so it came off a lot better in the anime, I think.
Yeah, that could very well be the case. Like I said, I've heard that the anime did make some tweaks to the story that improved some things, so that could very well be the case. I do remember, although from what I remember, I think that starting that point and going forward was the part where I kind of started disliking it less, which sounds like is what you were thinking, because okay, you liked this fight, but the stuff after it you didn't like much.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my experience also. Well, one thing I found that I was interesting, because I was looking up some information and then I was finding out that, oh yeah, the what was its name? There's this Bleach light novel that like took place after the end of the series, and I was looking like, wow, this actually wrapped a lot of things up way better than this original manga did.
Yeah. Can't fear your own world.
Yeah, I think that was it. I was thinking maybe I'd want to check it out. It at least looked like the original author of Bleach had like some input on it, so I don't know if that makes it canon or not, but because like there were some characters that are just kind of left unresolved, like it's not even clear if they're alive or not, and this clarifies, yeah, they're alive and they're doing this thing in this part, so I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll check that out at some point.
Yeah, there's 3 volumes of that. So, I thought about buying it too, but I'm waiting until I finish the whole anime to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I am curious about what they're going to do about towards the end, because without getting into any specifics that are any spoilers, in the manga there's this one part towards the end where like there's this shift to so sudden that people like thought the series was getting canceled or something, because there's a bunch of fights going on and they just stop. It's like, okay, we're done with this, move on to the final fight. Like it's so abrupt, it's really weird. And some stuff the author said later on indicate that's not the case, that it wasn't any sort of cancellation, which would make sense. The series still sold really well, but like he was having a bunch of medical problems and just wanted to get the series, just needed to get the series done with so he could recover and stuff. So maybe the anime will like manage to like do those a little better, have the fights, feel like they got better endings, rather than just kind of stopping. But that's still a bit of a ways. I don't think that'll be until, I don't know if these count as seasons or parts. Like you use season, but I'm like, is it the second season or is it the second part of the final season? Is this a 4-part final season? Is this an Attack on Titan again?
Well, it says on Hulu season 2, so
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that puts you, I think you're basically just caught up, especially if you're watching the dub. I think the 1000 Year, I saw something I think a few days ago about how they had just started to dub the 3rd season. So let's see how many, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's 7 episodes of the 3rd season out, and they are starting to dub it. So yeah, so I think there's like 1 dubbed thing out so far. There's 6 episodes behind, which that's kind of typical gap.
Yeah,
we'll see how all that goes. By the way, since you've been watching the dub, how's the dub?
You know, good. I noticed they changed Yoruichi's voice actress. Not that she's really done much in the anime at all, but they changed her voice actress. And yeah, mostly everything else is kind of similar to what it originally was. So they did a pretty good job, I think, keeping things consistent. So yeah, pretty good dub.
Didn't they only, I think, temporarily change her voice, like for like one episode or something? I remember because there's some weird stuff about it. So they recast her and someone else did it, and then there was, except then after that happened, they got, apparently they weren't supposed to do that. The company wanted them to try to get everyone else back, and apparently they hadn't actually contacted her original voice actress, so they then did that, and then she took over voicing her again. I think that's how it went.
You'll have to send me a link to that because I don't know.
It was something about that. I remember because there's like some drama or something about it. So, but I think that's the case. She was temporarily replaced by someone else, voiced by someone else, and then afterwards, the original voice actress. I don't know if they changed. If they, I thought they had redubbed the part where it was changed, but maybe they didn't based on what you were saying. Yeah, I can look that up a little later, but okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all our discussion about Bleach. Probably won't be having too much else to be saying about it because you've caught up now, more or less.
Yeah.
And yeah, in regards to Squad Zero, I read through the arc. I can only really remember one of them. I can kind of remember two. I remember the one I remember is the guy, the one with like the bald guy with like the big beard. I think Ichibe, I think his name. I can remember him, but he was the one who got the most attention. And then there was that person, a woman. I think she was the one who made the Zanpakuto or something. I can barely remember her. So yeah, they do just kind of show up, and then yeah, not that important or interesting. So yeah, that will be, I guess it's everything. Not too much else to say about it, but we'll be back next week for pretty much all the same stuff. We're not going to be switching things out for a few episodes, although we'll be finishing with some series soon, so we'll be bringing in some new stuff. Beyond that, I don't have anything else to say. I don't think we got any big news about Toonami. Let me just double check on that. Okay. Oh, okay. It looks like we'll. Yeah, okay. It's just some Toonami Rewind stuff. It looks like December 6th they're just gonna have like a marathon or something, and for some reason they'll be having for Sailor Moon not this week but next week. They're gonna one of the episodes will be a rerun next week, it looks like. And the other one, a new one, I guess, because that reaches the end of the first season. So we'll see how all that goes. I don't want to be going too much because I just saw this, and we can always talk about it more next week if we need to.
Yeah.
All right. And that's it now, I think. So without further ado, that will be it, the end for our podcast this week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
When it comes to feels, no one does it like Nomada Studio. And their follow-up to Grease, called Neva, is another work of art.
After a pretty depressing opening sequence, you set off with your wolf cub to save the world from a creeping darkness.
Just like before, it's up to you to figure it all out.
But this time around, you're ready to rumble.
Good thing, too, because dark forces are plaguing the land.
The battles aren't all that challenging, even the bosses.
But it sure is fun shredding them to pieces.
As the seasons turn and Neva grows stronger, so does your special bond.
You're always there for her, she's always there for you.
And fighting your way to the end is all about trust and teamwork.
With a stunning visual style and a haunting soundtrack by Berlinist, Neva is another short journey worth taking.
We give it an 8 out of 10.
All the feels.
Cobra Commander is building a genetically mutated army. And he has just the general to lead them. Can the Joes save Hawk and the world from destruction? Yes, sir! G.I. Joe, Valor versus Venom. Next Saturday night at 7:30. The simple bare necessities. Only Toonami.